Now to Governor Lamont's budget proposal today.
By now you've heard that I'm submitting more than one option when it comes to tolling. Tolling for trucks only, and tolling for trucks as well as cars.
The governor rolled out a plan calling for tolls, sweeping sales tax changes, and modifications to the state's pension system. We have team coverage for you tonight. We'll start with Channel 3's Dennis House live at the state capitol in Hartford for today's big address. Dennis?
Denise, good evening to you. The governor's budget address was chock full of all sorts of plans and ideas, from new programs to getting rid of some old taxes, introducing some new ones, and of course, that big dog in the room that you were talking about, tolls. That's what everyone is buzzing about today. There's also been some talk about concessions from state workers and teacher pensions. Our chief Capitol reporter, Susan Raff, was right in the thick of it all. She's at the Hall of the House right now with a rundown of what happened today. Susan?
Dennis, you could almost call this a meat and potato speech. It was really heavy on details and very light on fluff. Governor Lamont is under a lot of pressure, as you know. Many are anticipating that the state's budget problems will continue if things aren't done. And no matter what you thought of the speech, in fact, the governor highlighted many ideas on how he wants to find revenue and many ways he wants to cut. But make no mistake, Connecticut has a long way to go.
I will not allow this budget to be another scene from Groundhog Day, where I come to you year after year, hat in hand, lamenting the fact that we still haven't addressed our structural deficits.
Ned Lamont, Connecticut's new governor, has a plan to fix Connecticut. He has two proposals for tolls. One would be just for trucks, the other for all vehicles. Republicans are against tolls. They want to reprioritize bonding.
Telling people that they have to pay tolls every 5 minutes they turn on the road is the fiscally irresponsible way to do this.
To raise more revenue, Lamont wants to add a sales tax to things like legal services, haircuts, dry cleaning, and veterinary services. Cities and towns are also being asked to pay more.
We're making a commitment to education. While some towns that are losing population will receive a little less, other towns with growing population and more kids in need will see more investment.
Lamont's plan has some municipalities paying 25% for teacher pensions. Democrats seem to like the plan.
A town like Greenwich, they pay their teachers much more than anybody else. They also have smaller class sizes, so they have a larger teacher workforce. But the state of Connecticut pays the entire cost of their pensions.
Wealthier towns would pay more, distressed towns less. Lamont also wants state workers to pitch in by renegotiating raises. CBAC, which represents thousands of union employees, says they agreed to nearly $2 billion in concessions, and we will not be part of still asking for more sacrifices. Lamont also supports raising the minimum wage and paid family leave.
It's really problematic as it's currently drafted. We'd rather have these things done, worked out in a partnership with the private sector and not through a mandate.
So I welcome you to this debate. And if you disagree, have at it.
In his speech before the General Assembly, Governor Lamont talked about more partnerships with private companies and state government. He also talked about scrapping the business entity tax, but that could be small potatoes considering it's only a couple $100s a year. Lamont has said in the past that he supports recreational marijuana. We did not hear that in the speech today. And Dennis, he also did mention that he supports sports betting. Both of those things he supports, but he is not counting on revenue from that to balance the budget. But clearly there will be some pushback from some of the proposals that Governor Lamont put forth today. Dennis, back to you.
All right, Susan, well said. In fact, I was talking to the House Speaker, Joe Arasimowicz, about this afterwards, and I said, what are the odds of Governor Lamont's budget becoming law as he laid it out today? And he said 0. There will be lots of compromise and lots of changes. I spoke to the governor very briefly. He was coming out of his office. We talked about his speech today. He asked what the reaction was, and I said, as a matter of fact, Governor, this Sunday on Face the State, we have reaction from David Stemmerman, our former candidate for governor, Joe Ganim, another Connecticut former candidate for governor, and the two of them are now Face the State analysts. They will break down the speech. We also are joined by Speaker Arasimowicz, Minority Leader Demis Claridis, and the leaders of the Senate, Martin Looney and Len Fasano. That's all coming up this Sunday morning at 8:30 on Face the State.